Well, my dream was about a year and a half ago, and we were having a family get together, and my sister, who often would forget things, forgot something, so we had to go and get it, which didn't make sense because she lived like an hour away. So her and I and my son, who was 20 at the time, got in the car to go and get what she needed. So, and it was a Jeep with no top, and none of us have a Jeep with no top. So we're driving down the road towards the freeway, and we're going up this hill, and right in front of us, we see like towards the freeway, the street that goes up to the freeway was military people all across the freeway. And they were dressed in tan uniforms, they had black boots and black guns. And we turned around to look over our shoulder, and we see two tornadoes, and they were huge. And one was black, and it was just whipping violently. And then there was just another one next to it, a big white one. And so we got scared, and we thought, well, we're either going to go straight towards these guns or these tornadoes are going to get us. So we just kept on going. And I said, and my son was driving the car, and I was in the seat next to him, and my sister was in the back seat. And I said, we got to go. We got to go through them. You know, we're probably going to get shot and die. But we kept on going, and it was like we just went right past them, right onto the freeway, and that was the dream.
Well, I love your positive outlook. We're going to get shot and die. Well, you have the faith to go through. You know, they say when you're going through hell, keep going. So put the pedal to the metal and drive on through. I love that you did that. You know, it's really interesting when you talk about tornadoes. I hear reap the whirlwind. And it's interesting when you started talking about a black tornado, I immediately started feeling that there was going to be a juxtaposition or a comparison between that and the other tornado, that it was going to be drastically different. So the black tornado is what is coming for the wicked. And it's going to uproot, it's going to pull down leaders, it's going to supplant people, it's going to take them out of position. CEOs of companies, technocrats that are billionaires are going to fall and be homeless and penniless. They're going to lose everything they have, because the wicked will be judged, and they will be judged at this point probably by an act of God. And that's what the whirlwind represents. It's going to be a very unsettling time. There's likely going to be, there's prophets that have prophesied by name leaders in different branches of government. They're going to drop over dead, and not just one or two. So it's going to be a time that when God comes down and decides to get involved in the affairs of men at that level, it's going to look like utter chaos, but it's going to be a clean sweep of the wicked. Those that are pedophiles, those that have been harming children, those that have been human trafficking, full of corruption, money laundering, stealing money from the United States, hanging on to power, implementing a communist, ridiculous, evil, wicked agenda in this nation. Their day is coming, and I do not feel for them at all. They will be removed. They will be uprooted. They will be gone like yesterday's news. And it's going to happen, and I think we're approaching the time where that happens soon. There's also going to be a white tornado. The white tornado isn't as severe as the black tornado, but what it is it's a reorganization of what's left. And in particular, I feel like the white tornado is part of the house of God. You know, people talk about the deep state, and I don't even like to mention it, but they never conceive of the idea of the deep church, that there are pastors, well-known pastors that we probably like, prophets, Christian leaders that are flat out bought out. They've been bought out by nefarious forces. They've been bought out by intelligence agencies. They're promoting things because people follow them. They're being used as paid promoters, and God isn't going to stand for it. He's not going to be mocked. He's not going to put up with it. But also what needs to happen is the reorganization of those, the remnant, who did nothing, who did whatever the government told them to do, who didn't take a stand for freedom and liberty in this country, who were cowardice and did not keep their churches open and promoted things that shouldn't be in our bodies, and mandates and government overreach, because they didn't have the courage to stand up and say no. And whether the government threatens them with an IRS audit, or we're going to take your 501c3 away, or whatever, the point is those people have been relegated, or will be relegated, to a position that I don't think is going to be in leadership, not unless they repent. And I think it's going to be shocking, absolutely shocking, for the things that are exposed in the church. That's probably going to be the hardest for Christians in general. For everybody else, they're going to wonder at, why are all these leaders dropping dead? Why is this stuff happening? Why are these companies failing? Why are these things going on in America? And they may never get it, and that's okay. But there's going to be a difference between the light and the dark, a distinction between the black and the white. And I think what's interesting is there's also going to be, in times of uncertainty, is when corrupt governments want to come in and control things. And we've seen this, unfortunately, in our own government throughout all of the last 2 years. Way far overreach, way beyond the level of constitutional provisions, of the things that they've tried to mandate and force people to do. And it's just been unconscionable. Our founding fathers would have risen up against them and shot them point blank in the head, frankly. Some of the largest leaders in the United States, if they would have been alive today. And that's just a statement of fact. And if people don't believe that, again, they need to study their history. They need to see what Lincoln fought the Civil War for. They need to see what George Washington fought the Revolutionary War for. They need to understand the liberties and the freedoms that we enjoy in this country, that they fought blood, sweat, and tears, and their lives and their sacred honors for. And then we need to look at what we're doing and what we're not standing up against. And so I think it's an unsettling time, but it's a good time. It's a good time for those that can. It's a good time for those that can remain, and those that are actually doing something about it. And doing something about it isn't sounding off on YouTube like I'm doing. It's not speaking at a conference. It's not posting on Twitter. That's not being a patriot. That's not standing up in this country. It's creating movements of things that are moving the needle, and it's having position and influence inside people that are in government that want to do things righteously, and providing information and even intelligence to people of what God is saying in these troubled times and how we can gain our freedoms back. Because now we're at a point where we have to get our freedoms back because we've relegated them. We have to fight for our liberties and our freedoms to get them back. And so things like the trucker convoy are statements of people saying we're not going to put up with any more. And why didn't we have a pastor's convoy? Why do the truckers have to be the ones to do it? You know, why isn't every red-blooded American citizen of any party, of any race, right now in the Beltway? Why are we making the truckers do it? Because they got the biggest vehicles? I mean, come on. You know, and so what's happening is the shaking is providing a waking up of America. You know, and I hear, you know, we're not in Kansas anymore, meaning we're not. Kansas represents the plains, right? It represents a plain, vanilla, kind of boring, normalized existence. You look at America, particularly in the last 40, 50 years, even really since World War II. And a lot of it has been a slow growth of prosperity, and it's been this and this and this. And we haven't had major challenges like we're having today. And so what God is doing is he's shaking things up. And there's light and there's dark. And we get to choose which side we want to be on, but it's going to be unsettling for either side. So we got to buckle your seatbelt, strap in, gun the engine, go through the checkpoint, and pray for safety and protection. Neil, do you want to comment in particular on like the color of the uniforms of the people, the soldiers at the checkpoint?
Yeah, I have a few other things too. This is a family gathering. So and there are three of you that are singled out, you, your sister, and your son. So a family gathering and the three of you being together is a multi-generational gathering. So this has a multi-generational bent to it. She forgot something. It took her an hour to get there. So I have a feeling that spiritually she might have been a little bit behind you and it took her a while to catch up. I'm not sure anything about your background, but that's kind of what it feels like in the dream. Did she become a Christian after you did by any chance?
No, I'm just more recent. She's been the one who's been solid.
Okay. So you're in a Jeep. Do you remember what the color of the Jeep was?
I think it was just dark.
Okay.
I don't.
A Jeep with no top on it. That's a
No
military
top.
vehicle, but it's kind of a timestamp, both with the Jeep that you talked about, and also the military men in the tan and black boots. Tan and black boots were a uniform for the 1980s. So we got rid of that in the late 80s, but it was not. It wasn't a combat uniform. That was a semi-dress uniform. So it timestamps this dream to a few decades ago. But the fact that you're still driving and you're all together, you're all in this. You three have got a special mission together. I don't know what it is between you, your sister, and your son, but your son's driving. He's in the mission seat. You're in the passenger seat, and the sister's in the back. Probably, being the backseat driver and giving you really good directions. So the military men, and it's interesting that this journey of yours right now is an uphill battle. It's an uphill drive. So it's not flat, smooth running. You're going uphill, but you're driving to a freeway. You're not driving to a toll road. It's a place where it's free. So you're moving towards the land of freedom, a destination to freedom. But you go through, in order to get there, you got to go through the men with the guns and the black boots and the tan uniforms. My thought is those guys are not the enemy because they let you through. They're actually protecting you as you come towards them. So the military is not, there's more, there's a remnant out there, part of the ecclesia that are actually protecting us as we move towards freedom, and they let you right through. There are others that wouldn't be let through. But for you and your sister and your son, you're on the road, on the way to the freedom. So that's what I had on that, John.
Wow. Thank you.